Hello, I just want to take some time and walk through the syllabus for Christian Foundations, um, kind of covering what the general overview of the course is, as well as looking at some of the specific assignments, due dates, explanations of what all is entailed with this assignments. Um, in producing this video, this is not to communicate that you can't ask questions about it. So if after watching this you still have questions, please bring those to class on Friday and we'll spend some time going over that, or you can email me directly. Um, but this is due to the hybrid nature of the course. I don't want to dedicate the entire first class period to walking through this syllabus. I want to just jump in with material a little bit, and this is my attempt to make that possible. All right, so here we go. First, let me comment just a little bit about the course Christian Foundations. Our goal, this is a Gen Ed class, so every student at Fox, regardless of background, takes this course. Now, I want to recognize right out of the gate that some of you come to the class with very distinct Christian backgrounds. You're very aware of your denominational heritage as Quakers or Baptists, Presbyterians, Catholics, whatever it might be. Others of you come to the class, you've been very involved in church, but it is perhaps some sort of non-denominational church. You're not really sure at all if it has a denominational rooting anywhere, and you're not even quite sure what that would mean if it did. And then some of us come to class really as non-Christians, that you are at Fox for whatever reason, a major or a sport or whatever it might be, but you did not choose Fox because of your personal Christian faith, and you were just a student here required to take this course. You're going to get a whole lot of church history in this class. You're going to get a fair bit of church theology and practice in this class. For those of you that are coming from outside of Christian faith, my hope is that you will find the class sensitive to where you're coming from, and that it'll still be informative and helpful, even if you are viewing it somewhat from the outside looking in. But I want you to know that I'm aware of that dynamic and take that into account as we move along. Okay, so about a hybrid course. What is a hybrid class? Some of you have taken hybrid classes, perhaps Bible Survey or some other course in a hybrid format. Essentially, for a 3-credit class, typically you would meet 3 days a week for 50 minutes, 3 hours in class, plus 6 to 9 hours of outside work. The general formula that we're operating under is that for every 1 hour of class time, you're supposed to do 2 or 3 hours of work outside of class, be it reading, writing, assignments of various kinds. In a hybrid class, you're only 2 hours in class and not 3, but you're still expected to put the same amount of work into the class. So if in a traditional standpoint you are spending 12 to 15 hours a week for a 3-credit class, that's what we'll be trying to do here. We'll be looking at 12 to 15 hours a week for the course total, and just replacing some of the ratio of how that relates lecture to outside of class experience. And we'll discuss that as we go along. All right, so want to just jump in with some of the assignments. All right, so that'll enable us to walk through. As you look at the syllabus, you'll see course objectives, course description, required text. I think that is all fairly self-explanatory, and we'll make some comments about it even as we go. I want to jump to the second page of the syllabus, the reading schedule listed by due date. All right, that you have 3 required texts for this course, 2 of which you will read in their entirety from chapter 1 till the final chapter. One book, Spiritual Classics, you'll read selections from, but not the entire book. So as you move through the syllabus, whenever it says your weekly reading for GHC, that's Global History of Christians. All right. So every week you will have either 1 or 2 chapters of this book that you will be reading, and that'll be true from week 1 till the end. You will also, at 5 different times through the semester, have readings from this small little book. It's small in size, and it also is only about 105 pages long. But it's a short summary of 2,000 years of the development of Christian theology, or what Christians think about and believe about God. So at various points, you'll have there's only 5 chapters. You'll at different points have a chapter assigned to read for that. And then the final book, Spiritual Classics, this is more about personal faith, how various people, some of whom are famous names in the church, Martin Luther, John Wesley, Augustine, how they dealt with prayer or reading scripture or service to the poor, for example, as well as people that are less famous, names that you will not know. But these are kind of meditations, so small selections of writing from individuals around specific topics of spiritual Christian practice, how one interacts with God in their personal lives. So as our reading progresses, you'll see here you have 14 due dates, starting with 119 and ending with 420. Actually 13 due dates, 14 weeks in the semester. So week 1's reading, which you should begin today, is the first and second chapter of the Global History of Christians and the first chapter of the Pocket History of Theology. That is due, your homework for that is due on Monday the 19th. You need to post that to Foxtail. What you do for the homework is create a 1 to 2 page document, Word document or PDF. Please don't use Pages. For whatever reason, my computer is unable to access that. But a Word document would be ideal. You post to Foxtail bullet points. You don't need to write complete paragraphs. What I would like to have is Chapter 1, Global History of Christians. Here's 15 to 20 bullet points. More than one word, but less than a sentence. It's certainly not a paragraph, but just enough to show me you read the chapter. So 15 to 20 highlights of key points through that chapter. Chapter 2, same thing. Then move to the next text, do the same thing. So each week, whatever the reading is, produce a reading summary that is in bullet point form, that just, you don't have to comment. You're not saying what this reading means or what it means to you or whether you like it or don't like it. I just want to see that you read it. I want to be able to verify that you spent time reading the text through the week. So the point of these summaries is just to do that. So all I'm looking for is you to give me enough data to be able to determine, yes, you read it. The grading on that will be generally 100% if you do it, and there's decent bullet points throughout, 100%. If you turn something in, but it's very short, very sketchy, doesn't look really like you just maybe took topic headings and didn't really read, you get 50%. And if you don't turn it in at all, you obviously get 0. That's 15% of your grade. So every week, essentially, is 1 point towards your final grade, which is, on the one hand, it's free points. You're not evaluated on how smart you are, how much this makes sense. Just did you do the assignment? At the same time, every year in other classes, I will have students who do great on tests but can't keep up with weekly reading and don't turn in weekly summaries, and they end up really hurting their grades just by not doing it. So this is an assignment that is definitely going to take some self-discipline on your part. It's due every Monday. Get it done, turn it in. Please ask questions if you have them. Second assignment, 10% of your grade, church visits. We are going to go together to one church worship experience, and then you will make a choice for a second one individually. The one that we are going to do together is we're going to visit the Trappist Abbey that is in Lafayette, Oregon, about 15 minutes down the road. A Trappist Abbey is a Catholic group of men who have kind of left their lives in the world and live till they die, essentially, in this monastery. And at several points in the day, they come together and sing, read scripture together, and pray together. And the public is welcome to come and watch and be present during those times. As we will see, this monastic movement is over 1,500 years old and has had a huge, huge impact not only on the development of Christianity, but on Western civilization. And the fact that we have an example of that right in our backyard, living, breathing men who have kind of devoted themselves to this life, we're going to go and watch that. So we will do that together. We will probably do it pretty early in the semester once we hit St. Benedict and the development of monasteries in Europe. You'll write a short write-up, about a one-page write-up of kind of describing what happened, and then a paragraph or two of what you thought about it. What was weird, what was strange, what stuck out to you, was there anything moving or significant in the experience. The second church visit that you will make is to a church of your choosing, but one, I'm going to direct you in some ways as to what choice you will make. You need to choose a church that is radically different than the tradition you grew up in. So for those of you that have no church background, you've got a lot of choices. Virtually any choice you make is going to be a new experience. For those of you that grew up in Protestant backgrounds, which my guess is that is the majority of us, that certainly would be my background, I'm going to ask you to go to either a Catholic or an Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox church, because that's a branch of Christianity that'll be radically different than what you're used to. If you grew up in a Catholic or Orthodox setting, I'm going to ask you to choose kind of a traditional Protestant denomination. So not Jesus Church or Imago Dei, which are great churches, but kind of outside of sort of the traditional denominational background. But I'm going to ask you to go to an Episcopal church or a Presbyterian church, a Quaker church, some group that has a history that's several hundred years old. So you can do that at any point in the semester. The second church visit write-up is not due till April. So you've got all semester to pick and choose where you'd like to do that. And then again, you'll do a page or two write-up of what was odd, what was curious, what was interesting to you, where did you see things that we've talked about in class showing up here in your church visit. That's the second assignment. So now we're up to 25% of your grade. And again, that most of those points are, did you do it? And did you take it seriously? Full points. If it feels like, yeah, I went somewhere, but I really didn't pay any attention and I barely comment on it, 50 points. And if you don't do it at all, you get 0 for the assignment. Okay, moving on to the third assignment. Part of how we're going to make up for this hybrid hour lost and how we're going to deliver content is through the watching of movies, both documentaries and feature-length films. Okay, so we're going to watch a few documentaries about some key figures in church history, as well as watch movies about some of them. Some of the movies we're going to watch are about famous Christians, St. Francis, Martin Luther, for example. Others are about more obscure individual Christians who just led remarkable lives. And we will talk in class about how we're going to do that. Some of that will be, I will create some times where we will have a showing of the movie, and if everyone can come during that time. If you're unable to, there'll be some avenues, whether through Netflix or Amazon Prime, that you can access the movies themselves. But I'd like you to discuss with me if you're not going to come to the primary times. So for each movie we watch, and there will be several, probably more weeks than not, there will be some sort of documentary or movie. I think I've got 9 planned. You'll write a short write-up of those. So again, just about a one-page thing, just basically to confirm to me that you didn't take the time during the movie and take a nap or sit and do other homework, but that you actually watched the movie, paid attention. And so similar to the reading summaries, if I can verify through your notes that you paid attention to what was going on, you get full credit, and we move on from there. So that's now 35% of the course. And if you'll notice, we've not yet come to anything that is asking you to prove your level of knowledge or mastery of material. So my hope in structuring the grading of this course is that anyone could get a B in this class, regardless of if you've ever set foot in a church or know anything about the history of Christianity. If you'll just do the assignments, you'll be in shouting distance of a B, and then if you even pass the exams, you could get a B. And if you do well on them, you could go beyond. But the onus is going to be upon you to do these homework things. Okay, the fourth thing, small groups. At 4 different points in the semester, I'm going to break you into randomly generated small groups of 5 to 7 people. And I'm going to ask you to get together for an hour during a specific kind of week to 10-day period with some directed questions, probably about either church, perhaps the Abbey experience, or things that we've talked about in class. And in class, there's going to be quite a bit of lecture. We're covering 2,000 years of history in basically about 25, 26 class sessions. So we're moving very quickly through a lot of material. These small groups are going to be a time where I'm going to ask you to get together with some directed questions from me and with 5 or 6 other folks, talk about it for a while. Talk about these questions, and I'll give you a rubric and a form to fill out based on, okay, who attended the meeting? Did everyone participate fully? Did folks seem prepared? How would you grade yourself based on your level of involvement? Obviously, it's going to be on you to be honest about that. You can't just get together and say, okay, let's all just fake this assignment and say that we met and not. I mean, you can, but that's cheating. It just is as cheating on a paper or plagiarizing a paper would be. So my assumption is that you'll not do that. All right, the next assignment, and then we're on to exams to wrap up, is spiritual discipline write-ups. Okay, I want to take a couple minutes to comment about this. Throughout the history of the Christian church, spiritual disciplines or practices, regular habits that Christians partake in have been very, very significant around the world for how Christians have developed their spiritual lives and experienced God in their lives. And those spiritual disciplines can take all sorts of forms. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is at various points in the semester, early and then later, to take 2. I'm going to give you a choice of 7 different options, and you'll choose 2 of them. And you're free to choose whichever ones you want. And to do those disciplines, write up about a 2-page summary of what you did and what you thought, felt, experienced during that time, and turn that in. Some of those are related to Scripture. Perhaps you've never read really the Bible before, maybe a little bit in Bible survey, but not devotionally. So one of the assignments is take a week and read one of the 4 Gospels and journal a little bit about that. One of the options is to take a day-long retreat, to go for 8 or 10 hours and go away from people here at Fox, but also away from your phone, away from technology. If you are a Christian, to maybe take a Bible and a journal and perhaps some other devotional reading and spend time doing that, or just to go for a walk and to reflect, perhaps to pray or journal, or just try to find peace within your heart. And what about that? What is that experience like? Another scripture-oriented option that you'll have, there's a website called Pray As You Go, which is created out of a Catholic monastery in Ireland, which is just about a 10-minute podcast every day. Pray As You Go is a website. It's a little 10-minute podcast with some kind of very traditional, and by traditional, like centuries-old Christian music sung at the beginning of the podcast, and then a portion of Scripture read, and then some devotional questions, some thought-provoking questions related to that Scripture asked. And then it closes with reading the Scripture again. And so one option would be to take 7 to 10 days and every single day listen to that podcast and journal your thoughts about it. Fasting, going without food, has been a significant thing, not only for Christians, but for people of faith all around the world in many kind of ways. And not just going without food, but also kind of dedicating a set period of time to some physical discomfort through hunger, but also then dedicating time to prayer, the reading of Scripture in a more focused way. So one option would be to have a 24-hour fast, a 12 to 24-hour fast, where you skip 3 meals and use that time in prayer and Scripture reading and journaling. That's an option for you. Giving of alms to the poor. one of the really profound ways that Christians have experienced Jesus in the world throughout history is through giving material assistance to those in need, specifically the poor, the homeless, those that are in want in any number of settings. And so one of the options that you'll have as a spiritual discipline is to, either through George Fox or on your own, find some ministry to the poor, either here in Newburgh or Portland or in the surrounding area, perhaps when you're home over spring break, and to take a day and serve there, to kind of tangibly, not just write a $10 or $20 check to some world relief agency, but to physically come into contact with those that are in profound need, and to spend time helping them and trying to picture Christ in them, and being the hands of Christ to serve them. And then journaling just a little bit about that experience. And then the seventh option is to participate in Lent. And Lent is in spring. It's the 6 weeks that lead up to Easter. And it is a time for most of the liturgical world, which are Catholics, Orthodox, Anglicans, Lutherans, folks from those traditions kind of spend this time of Lent preparing their heart for the coming of Easter, for the death of Christ and the resurrection, those celebrations in the spring. So if you participate in this exercise, it's not just giving up chocolate because you'd like to drop a couple pounds this spring, but it would be going to an Ash Wednesday service at the beginning of Lent, taking on some specific things that you are going to set aside that are going to be hard and cause some discomfort for you, and following that through for the several weeks process of Lent, and then participating in some Good Friday and Easter services, either here locally or in your home, and then writing about what that experience is. So again, you'll choose two of these options, any two that you want, and you'll write those up. One of those will be due kind of mid-semester, early March. The second will be due in the end of April, before the end of the semester. And again, kind of if you do them, take it seriously, you'll get full credit. If not, you'll get less. If you don't do it at all, you obviously get 0. And then finally, 45% of the course will be exams. You will have, excuse me, I'm leaving out another assignment. Never mind, that's a different course. Apologies here. 45% of the course will be exams. The 5th week, the 10th week, and the final. Those exams will be likely 50 to 60 questions each. Typically, a section will be matching, so matching terms. A section will be multiple choice questions, and then another section will be short essay or short answer questions. And the first 2 tests will cover everything from week 1 to week 5 on exam 1, from week 5 to week 10 on the second exam. The final will be week 11 to the final, but also will include probably about a third of the test questions pulled from the first and second exams as well. So it will be somewhat cumulative, but also just covering the last third of the semester. I will give you a review guide for each test, a study guide of terms and ideas that are going to be significant for the exam. And we will have the Wednesday morning that we don't meet in class. We meet Monday and Friday. The classroom that we meet in does not have anything formally scheduled on Wednesday mornings. And so the Wednesday before each Friday exam, I will come to class at the normal class time, and we'll have a review session for anyone that wants to come. So we will not be having an in-class review for everyone that just happens to come to class that day. But if you want to review and come on Wednesday, you'll have that opportunity. From past experience, particularly with Bible Survey, I can assure you the review time and the study guide are very, very helpful in terms of the test. I think if you take that review time seriously and the study guide seriously, it will be impossible to do badly on the exam. But at the same time, if you blow those off, you very might well do poorly on the exam. So those are ways in which I'm going to try to help you, but you have to take advantage of them. Okay, so that's a summary of the main points of the syllabus. I mean, obviously, if you have any need for accommodation, because of any sort of learning or reading or testing issue, please come and talk to me, and I'll be happy to work with you and the ARC to set up an appropriate way for you to display your mastery of the content of the course and to access the material of the course. Also, obviously, plagiarism, whether it's on the homework assignments or on exams, cheating, all of that is of greatest seriousness. Any examples of plagiarism are going to be taken very seriously by me, and either having to redo work completely, failing, getting a 0 on a specific assignment and being reported to academic affairs, or failing the course. And unfortunately, over the last several semesters, every semester I've had to deal with students related to academic fraud in one form or another. So please take that to heart and do your own work, and have integrity and honesty as you move through it. It's going to be a great semester, and I look forward to being with you. Again, if you have any questions about the syllabus or specific assignments, either email me or bring those questions to class on Friday, and we'll deal with them there. Thank you very much.